Hey guys, Christopher, Adventures in Off-Roading. I have promised you guys a couple times now for a TR4050 review, and that's why we're here today. I have a TR4050 that I put into my 77 J10. I initially bought the truck for the Uray full-size Jeep Invasion. I'd missed it a few too many years, and I was determined I was going to do it. So I bought a running driving truck, and I found out pretty quick that max speed in it was like 45 miles an hour. It was pretty gutless with a little inline six. So I did an LS swap, and I didn't think about the TR4050 first. I went with the 3500. Now the EMV 3500 is just fine. It shifts fine for what I was doing with it. It would hold up just fine. However, the one I bought was kind of decrepit, and I was on a time crunch, so I knew that I was going to have to deal with the oil leaks and the grinding gears and the no reverse for a while until I could get it rebuilt or figure something out along those lines. And that figuring something out ended up being the TR4050. A buddy of mine, Don Scott, paid to have one put in, and a buddy of mine, Paul at Bandler Mustang in Jefferson City, Missouri, did it. And I stopped by one day and I kind of helped him with it a little bit, and then I got to thinking about it, and I messaged Don on Instagram. I'll throw his handle up here, and he does a bunch of really cool old school diesel stuff. And I was like, hey man, I was like, I know you put a TR4050 into that first biodiesel truck, which up here as well. And I was just kind of curious whether or not you liked it, whether you'd recommend it. And he says, bro, just do it. So I went ahead and I ordered it. It was a hefty price tag. The entire conversion cost me about $5,000, but that's only because I had what I needed and I didn't really waste very much money. First and foremost, I got the advanced adapters bell housing for it, which I bought my transmission from advanced adapters. I got lucky. It only took a couple 3 weeks for the transmission to come in, which is nice. And the only downside to it is it's a 23 spline. So if you're throwing it into your Jeep, put in advanced adapters, get their bell housing kit, and just go with it. I had a 32 splined Chevy passenger side drop NP 241 in the Jeep, because I had passenger side axles from it being a 77 Jeep truck. However, I had 80s J20 axles, and I had a 80s J10 MP208, which has a fixed rear yoke and a 23 splined input, and I just used those. You have a few options with that. You can go ahead and hop on eBay, JD Conversions, etc., and just pick up a new input shaft for whatever transfer case you're running. If it's a popular one, like a 208, 241, 242, whatever, you'll get a 23 spline input. If it's not, you may have to change your transfer case out to whatever one works best for you and your setup. But that's a relatively painless thing, because I plan on going to J20 axles anyway. I like that full float rear end versus a semi-float. I've lost a couple Jeep truck and Wagoneer axle shafts, as have some of my friends. And it's not fun to be driving down the road and the axle shaft just shoot out. But overall, I didn't want to go with the NV4500. I didn't want to go with the SM465. One, I wanted overdrive, so the 465 just wouldn't work. And the NV4500, the ones I've drove have always been a lot more trucky or school bus, slow shifting, and I wanted something quicker shifting. The NV3500 was fine with me. I love the AX15, but I didn't want to do a bunch of conversion stuff, which obviously I did. But I also knew that I was eventually going to boost the Jeep, because I have everything to do a remote out on it. So I went with something that can support up to 600 foot-pounds of torque, I believe it is, at 15,000 pounds or 20,000 pounds, or they've changed the number a couple times now. Depends on where you look. But it is plenty strong, and it's on par with the NV4500, maybe even a little bit stronger. Although it does not have the aftermarket support like 300M input shafts or 1.25" input shafts and such that the NV4500 has. it is a smooth shifting transmission. The only complaint I have on the entire transmission, and it's so minor, is that while you're getting used to driving it regularly, if you're used to driving other manual transmissions, the shift pattern is very close to each other. So it's almost like it's got a short throw shifter in it when it doesn't. I did not put the short throw on it. You can get one for it, but if I'm not paying attention, especially when I first drove for the first week, I would shift from second to fifth pretty seamlessly, and it doesn't seem to mind. It won't let you downshift inappropriately, but it will allow you to upshift into a gear that's not ideal for you. So once you get used to the fact that you're going from first to second, and then make sure you kind of keep it tight and allow it to return to center to go to third, and then eventually get to the point where you're shifting normally. But it took me about a week to adjust to it. Other than that, I feel like I can own the on-ramp like I'm in my daddy's Corvette. It's just absolutely immaculate, smooth shifting. I don't have to wait between shift gears. It's straight down into every gear. I'm just rolling through the gears. It's plenty strong. The gear spread doesn't seem to be too bad at all. I think it may be a little closer than what I would like. I'll throw the gears up here, but you can see that the first gear is real low. You can pretty much hop out of your truck and walk around it and not have to get too much in a rush. Especially, it's a given that you can do that if you put it in your transfer case into low. However, you don't have very many options for a four-wheel drive modern transmission that's a manual, and this solves that issue. I would do the swap again in a heartbeat. It's beautiful to drive. It's fun to drive. It makes very, very little noise, if any at all. I want to be able to hear it anyway over the wind from the speakers, or the wind from the windows, or the music from the speakers. And it's cost prohibitive. If I could do one thing, and this is the hardest thing in the entire swap that I have an issue with. The bell housing bolted in just fine. The transfer case and axles I already knew ahead of time, so I was already prepared for that. I'd already planned on doing that. In the future, I just planned on having to convert the Jeep MP208 232 spline to match the 3500. But the hard part was the clutch. Trying to get a slave cylinder that would work, I found to be prohibitive. They all ran into my stock 4.8 liter manifolds. I couldn't find a good way to route a manual clutch linkage, which is what my truck originally came on it with. And I ended up going with an internal. With the internal clutch, it doesn't work without some cutting on the advanced adapter's bell housing, and I just went ahead and trimmed it out. I'll show a short clip now of this is how I did that. And all it was I could have went and bought a late 90s Indy 4500 bell housing, and they use the internal slave cylinder there, and you can buy it for $150, $200. So I could have went that route, saved $300 or $400 on a nice machine bell housing, and just use something that was old but made for the purpose. It's not quite advanced adapter's fault, although I do think they could do a much better job with a clutch system for it. Overall, in a Jeep truck with LS, it's just, you don't have the space underneath there. Using the factory manifolds. I don't use block headers, I don't use shorty headers. I have no idea truck engine do not work with an external clutch system at all. So I make sure that you guys understood that, and if that's what you're planning on doing, I would consider just getting a MV4500 clutch. For the flywheel's easy. It's easy for all the LS swaps. I get a Ram 1550. That is the brand name Ram, not the Ram Dodge truck, but just a Ram 1550 flywheel. It doesn't require a space or anything to bolt up to the rear of the crank on these flush flanged crankshafts on the LS engines, and it gives you the traditional 12-inch Chevy clutch pattern, so you can run your older clutch packs that are, you know, $125 or whatever for your clutch kit, versus the LS series that oftentimes is a few $100s, and it will save you a little bit of money in that realm. Overall, with the good gearing, the quick shifting, although that does take a second to get used to, and the ability to put it behind any engine or in front of almost any transfer case, makes it incredibly nice. It's very new, it's reliable. To my understanding, this is what they're putting in the 1 ton and 3/4 ton trucks down in Argentina, the Chevys and Fords and Dodges and stuff that they ship down there. And I've been nothing but pleased with it. I've got probably 300 or 400 miles on it so far. Later on this year, after I get a few more thousand miles on it, I'll give a small update and let you guys know if I'm still vastly in love with it like I am now. $5,000 is a steep price tag, but it's worth it. I've enjoyed it, and it was pretty much a breeze, except for the clutch system, to install and convert over to an inline truck. I do think, to the best of my knowledge, and I hope that someone comes in the comments and corrects me or anything if you happen to know. I know Tremec did a Wagoneer with this transmission, but I think this is the first Jeep truck that's been on the road with one of these transmissions, which I think is pretty cool, and I guess that makes me a trailblazer. But either way, I hope you have a good night. Please like, subscribe, and share the video, because I don't know, that's what they tell me I'm supposed to say. You have a good day, be safe, and adventure hard.